guys, so today I'm shooting a hair tutorial for you. As you've realised from the description, I'm going to be doing a rainbow dip dye hair tutorial, and the last time I did a hair tutorial with dyes, it had really great response. In fact, it was my most watched video, the one I did with my pastel rainbow hair extensions. But this time I'm doing a dip dye effect. I know that kind of an ombre dip dye effect. I know that dip dyeing is really popular right now, and I kind of wanted to do my own take on it. Obviously I'm not doing it on my own hair because, you know, I've just dyed it bright yellow and it's pretty short, and I'm not going to be dyeing hair extensions this time. What I am going to be dyeing is this amazing human hair wig, which was sent to me from this company called wispy, and basically they contacted me to review one of their products, and as many of you know, I have a synthetic wig store, so I wasn't in the market for synthetic wigs because I sell them, but I'd always really wanted to own a lace front human hair wig, but I just hadn't really put the money in for one, and they told me I could pick a human hair wig from their website, so I was so excited because, you know, I'll never be stocking human hair wigs myself. It's just too costly for me to do it. And I had to read through their reviews first before I asked them to send me one, and because if a company wants to sponsor me or whatever, you know, I like to know that I can recommend a product and truly recommend it because I believe that it's a good product. I turn down a lot of hair extension companies because I just feel like their quality of their product isn't very good, but the reviews on the website from actual customers were absolutely amazing. So I picked this wig out, and within ordering it, it arrived within a few days in this box, and basically it came with a wig cap, and they threw in like a brush and everything, and yeah, it was really nicely packaged, and it got to me so fast. The actual wig is called Dolly, and it's all human hair, and the length is about 20 inches. And I don't know how many of you guys have seen human hair wigs, lace front wigs, but most of them, or the ones I've seen, are so thin and kind of scraggly. But if you have a look at this, like, that's a really decent amount of hair for, like, that is so much hair for a human hair wig. And that's one of the first things that I noticed about this wig. Also, it has such a great shine in the actual hair, and it feels really good. And the colour is really beautiful, even though I will be dyeing it today. And I've posted a photo on my other blog, and what I'll do is post it up of me with this on my head. But it has a lace front hairline, so unlike a lot of wigs, when I put this on, this is going to look pretty realistic. Like, it's the closest thing I've seen to a really realistic looking wig, and it's absolutely blown me away. So thank you so much to Uniwigs for sending me this. I'd absolutely recommend their wigs, human hair wigs. You know, there's upsides and downsides of buying both types, but the upside of buying a human hair wig is you can do what I'm going to do today, which is dye it rainbow ombre dip dye effect kind of thing. And I'm really excited to do this. And basically I will show you around what products I'm using. I'll just get the camera up. A little look at my desk today. So I've got heaps of dyes here, which are all in the vibrant kind of rainbow category because I'm going for more of a vibrant look this time, unlike my pastel tutorial. And I've got water, foils for foiling everything, my lamp over here, and just some other little tools. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through all these dyes and separate exactly what colours I want. You've seen me mix dyes before. I'm going to be mixing a few different of these tones of dyes just so that I can get the kind of perfect colours all ready for dyeing the wig. Okay, so this is my setup, and I've put all the dyes into containers so that they're going to be easier for me to use. I'm going to be dyeing the hair on a mannequin, and the good thing about me dyeing hair on this wig instead of extensions is that how I'm going to do this is exactly how you can do it to your own hair or to a friend's hair. So you can kind of watch what I'm doing and take note from that, and then you'll know how to do it on your own hair. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing like a gradual rainbow which feathers through the hair, which gradients from one colour to another, and the idea I have in my mind is pretty complicated, so please pray for me that this is going to work out by the end of the tutorial. Okay, so I hope you guys can see clearly. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be working with these lighter colours first, so the yellows, the oranges, the pinks and the reds, and then I've put the greens, the blues and the purples to the side for now, because basically I'm going to try and do a 2 to 3 ratio. These darker colours are going to overpower in the wig compared to these lighter colours, so I'm going to try to do 2/3 of the wig with these lighter colours. So I'm going to work with these first, and then I'm going to do 1/3 of the wig with these darker colours. So it depends what look you're going for, but if you are wanting a balanced rainbow look, I would kind of suggest concentrating more on these lighter colours because they're going to not overpower the wig as much. Now, what I'm using to separate my sections is just these little clips which a lot of people use to do pin curls here. And I apologise in advance because this is going to be a long tutorial. I'm very thorough with how I do things, and I have my method, and I like to go into detail so that you guys can get out of it as much as possible. Another thing I'm going to talk about is that last time when I did my dye tutorial, I did it on towel dry hair. Now this time I'm going to be working with dry hair, just pure bone dry hair, and my hairdresser came around early today and he said, we were talking about what we were going to do with this wig, and the dye works apparently just as well on the dry hair. Now the benefit of me using these Manic Panic dyes and special effects dyes and everything on the dry hair is it's going to be easier for me to see kind of what I'm doing, and it's also going to be easier for me to separate the hair. So for a more detailed project, I'd recommend kind of doing it on dry hair because it'll be easier for you to control what you're doing. So what I've done is separated all these lower sections, and I've done it in kind of a pattern where it starts off lower at the back here and then it goes up higher towards the front, and the way I'm going to be dyeing it is kind of in that gradual pattern. Make sure you've got old clothes on, obviously. I'm going to put my gloves on. Now what I'm going to be doing is doing each part and then putting it in one of these foils. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just start off with one of these thicker parts here. Now a tip I can give you for doing ombre hair is that, something I've learned off my hairdresser, is that if you back comb the hair a little bit, it's going to give it like a little bit of natural kind of variation in the length. So when you go to apply the dye, it's not going to be one solid line, which is what we're trying to avoid here. So I'm just going to do that. Now I wanted it roughly from here. Get my brush, and I'm starting off with this colour, which is Manic Panic Electric Banana, which is a really bright light fluorescent yellow, and what I'm doing is blending from light to dark, which is the general idea of the ombre effect. Once I feel like I'm roughly getting to where I want the dye to end, I'm just going to lightly feather it up, as you can see. Just very lightly touching those bits, and then I'm going to concentrate the dye down there, which will give it that kind of dip dye ombre effect. Then I'm just going to turn the hair over, and I'm going to do the same on the other side, just touching the little bits where I want it to fade from, and again just really coating the parts where I want that electric banana colour. Now I think that's all the yellow that I want of that shade in that part. So what I'm going to do is just bring the foil up and fold it. And I'm going to try to end the foil exactly where the dye ends so that I can keep track of kind of where it's up to. And now that bit's sticking out the end there, and I'm going to go in with the darker yellow, and I'm just going to bleed that into the previous colour. Make sure that's really soaked and that it's blended in. And once I've totally saturated that piece, I'm just going to connect the foils and fold them like so. Then fold it over and fold them together. So in the interest of keeping this symmetrical, I'm going to go over to the other side and grab the piece that is corresponding and do the exact same thing. So I pretty much finished off the warm colours now on the bottom layer, and I'm just going to basically show you up close what I'm doing. So I've zoomed in on the camera so you can have a better look at what I'm doing. So what I've actually done is, like I said, I've teased the hair a bit so that I can get that more ombre effect. Now I'm just tapering it with my brush very gently towards that top root part there. This is Electric Lizard by Manic, and it's a light lime kind of fluoro green colour, and I'm going to be blending that down into a kind of pine green colour. So just touching that top part there like that, and then once I've done that, I'm just blending out that colour through the rest of the hair. Now that's just something I've picked up on. A little bit of orange has got in from somewhere, so just try to be really careful when you're blending them that you're not getting bits of other colours of dye that you've used. It's really hard to do it, but it can be done. The key to it really is washing your hands between each colour so that you can make sure that you haven't got bits of the other tones in. Now I'm going to show you how I go into another colour. So bringing it up a bit, and it's okay if you get that lighter colour on this bit because it's going to be covered by the darker colour anyway. I'm going to go in with this colour, which is called Venus Envy by Manic. And I'm just going to use my other brush, the brush I used before, and I'm just going to start blending that from the bottom. This is kind of like a Kelly green colour. So this is the point where I'm changing colours and going from the lighter to the darker. So what I'm doing is just stretching out that hair and literally just blending it in to the other colour. And you want to kind of do about an inch where the colour is blended and it's like a mix between the two colours, because then it'll just nicely gradually fade into that other colour. So it's going to go from that lime green colour into a kind of neutrally green, and then it's going to go out to the ends to be that darker pine green, Kelly green kind of colour. So if you can see, it's gradually going from one tone into the other. Now what I'm going to do is gently lift that hair, and then I'm going to start folding it in, and I'm going to fold the darker part in one section so that it's completely, you know, there's no chance of it bleeding onto the lighter section. And then I'm going to go in with the lighter section and then fold that together. And once I've done that, I'm just going to go in with the clip, just so that it doesn't unravel, and just pin that up. And I'm just going to continue in that same fashion around the rest of the head. Whew, this is a big job. Whoop whoop! So I've finished the first layer and it's all done. So what I've done is kind of graduate it lower here and go up to the top, and I've try to like make the colour pretty even. Look, I mean, even if you're doing the one colour and you're doing this, I'm hoping that you can kind of get an idea of how I'm doing it, how I'm kind of, if you can see these little bits coming out here, how the colour's just slowly blending into the hair and feathering into the rest of it. So now what I'm going to do is I've separated this layer off. Now if you guys are doing rainbow like me, I would really suggest doing the bottom layer first and then getting a piece of cling film and putting it across that whole bottom layer, just so that there's no chance of that colour touching onto this next layer up here, because next I'm going to be bringing this down and I'm going to be working on the top layer. So I'm onto the front of the wig now, and if you have a look, I've tapered the clips all the way down the side. And what I'm going to do is start from the front of the wig and I'm going to work my way across. And the first thing I'm going to do is the bangs area, and I'm going to be doing the front, very very front of the hair, bright yellow on the same each side, because I love yellow. In case you guys hadn't noticed. I remember that this top level is the bit that really counts in terms of symmetry and like blending, so I'm kind of glad that I started off with the bottom so I can make any mistakes and then hopefully get it really right on this top part. Okay, so I finished doing the dip dye around here, if you can see, going down here, and I didn't bother filming it because it was very time consuming. But now what I'm basically going to do is go in with the different colours and just filter down along it and properly kind of blend it out. So what I will be doing is just going up a little bit in the strands and fading it into the hair like this. So I'm in the bathroom now and I've completely finished dyeing the wig. I'm just going to zoom in. You can see, hopefully it's not too dark. So as you can see, I've just gone in and I've just tapered up the dye a little bit through the lengths. And I've just done it on the top layer, so hopefully when I rinse this out it won't be so blocky. When the hair kind of moves around, it'll just gradually be a bit soft through that top length, and it's tapered all the way to the front. So I'm just about to wash it out. I'm very excited. What I'm going to do is, before I rinse it out, and I don't really need to do this because I've had the dye on there for so long, but if you haven't had the dye on there, get your hairdryer with a diffuser on the end And you just want to just heat this up. Like, you never do this with bleach because it develops it and it's really bad for your hair. But you can do it with these semi-permanent dyes, and it's just going to help with the processing. So I'm just going to do it for a minute. I guess now it's time for the big reveal. So what I'm going to be doing is rinsing out all the dye. Now, when it comes to rainbow, it's a pain in the ass. I mean, really, like, these lighter colours, they need to be washed separately than the reds and the blues and everything. I'm just going to be rinsing all the colours. I'm going to do the first layer and I'm going to be rinsing them off. If you're doing it in your own hair, I've heard something about washing your hair with white vinegar and it can help the colours not soak into one another. But it's always good to wash your hair under a cooler temperature, and also, if you can help it, washing these lighter colours like the yellows and orange separately from the blues and doing the reds and stuff separately is really helpful. You can't always do that. In this case I can.